Golf Central. Brought to you by Titleist.
Here are the top storylines heading into this week's stop on the PGA Tour. The AT&T Byron Nelson Sergio Garcia is a two-time winner. He beat Brooks Koepka on the very first playoff hole last year. Jordan Spieth is making his 7th appearance in this event. And how about this? His best showing ever was as an amateur when he was only 16. We'll have much more on Spieth coming up. Plus, the stars are always shining brightly in Dallas. Dustin Johnson has 4 top 10s in this event. Jason Day won it for his first PGA Tour victory back in 2010. With that, we say hello. Great to have you with us tonight on Golf Central. I'm Lisa Cornwell. We're seeing a much different Sergio Garcia on the golf course these days, finally able to call himself a major champion after so many close calls over the years. And what can we expect from him this week as he tries to become the first player to successfully defend this title since all the way back in 1980 when Tom Watson did it. For more on Sergio and his preparation leading up to the Byron Nelson, we take you to Irving, Texas, where George Savarikas joins us with a live report. George, how's Sergio feeling coming off that tied for 30th showing? Not his best final round, but a lot of excitement.
Yeah, Lisa, it was kind of a mixed bag like you touched on. Sergio was 4 over through 15 holes. His first round goes birdie, hole-in-one to finish things out. A 71 on Friday, 67 on Saturday. So he had a 39-hole stretch where he was 9 under par, and then Sunday he shoots a 78. So he was aware that he was kind of exhausted after all the prep and a little overwhelmed with his first tournament back at the Players. So you wonder, I asked him, with the Players under his belt, what does he need to do to refocus after having all that time off to celebrate, to defend his title at this week's Byron Nelson with an eye towards the rest of the major season in 2017?
It's something that that I need to get going on that. Last week, obviously at the Players, I had a couple nice rounds and a couple not so nice rounds, but it's been very overwhelming. I'm not gonna lie. It's been amazing to see the reaction from the people and the players and everyone. It's obviously been something amazing to go through, but at the same time, I have to kind of move on. As nice as it is to be the Masters champion, I need to keep doing things. I need to keep improving on every aspect of my game, and focus on the week that we are right now, because it's easy to start thinking and about what happened a month ago and things like that. So we have to get going, get back into where we were there, and make sure that we get some good confidence. I did some really good things last week, but I also did some things that weren't that great. So I need to make sure I clean that up and have a solid stretch here in Texas.
Thought it was interesting in his press conference, Sergio Garcia talking about the need for attention to detail on his game. You hear a lot of guys, they win a major and they've kind of achieved the top of the mountain, the pinnacle of their career, and it's hard to regain motivation to once again ascend that height. For Sergio Garcia, it seems like that fire is burning, and he'd like to use this week as the start to an even bigger season. Lisa.
George Savarikas, thank you very much. With Trip Eisenhower, what an exciting moment this was, Trip, for Sergio. It looked like things weren't going really well from him, then this happened.
You know what, a big turnaround in the round, and George mentioned that 39-hole stretch that he was just in fuego, what we were expecting out of Sergio all week, but sporadic play here and there before and after that.
But still, minus that final round that he had, he really competed, and he was right there in contention. When you think about all the hype after winning the Masters, so much pressure on him, so much excitement, he was still talking about it. That's when he was in the media room. That's all he was being asked about was right. So it's hard to focus that. Now that he's had a little separation, he's had one event. Do you expect him to do better this week as the defending champ?
I do, because if you listen to what he said, he said it wasn't necessarily the physical part of it, because he had been practicing for a couple of weeks before the Players. It was the mental aspects of it. The first couple couple of rounds, his mind was still thinking about the Masters and trying to get himself back on task, and I think that's what he did there on that hole-in-one and moving into it. But if you look at him this week in this golf course, he's a defending champ, of course, a two-time champion of this event. You look at this, most rounds sub 66 or better. This is how low he goes here, and I think it's in particular because if you look at the last 10 winners, the largest predictor of success, they have gained more strokes off the tee than putting, and that's unusual for a golf course, but we know how well Sergio hits his tee balls, and he certainly does that here. And the other thing he does do here is he putts quite well, but he's able to hit the ball quite close because of the advantage that he gains off the tee. It's the same thing that he normally does at the Players and why he's had so much success on that golf course, so it's easy to see how it translates from Jacksonville, from Ponte Vedra to Dallas. So I think getting all that behind him, I expect him to play a little bit better than he did. I thought going into the last round he would have a better round than he did, the highest round he's had in 2017. But I look for this week to be back where we see the Sergio that we saw at Augusta, where nothing's really bothering him. He's on task and he's mentally ready.
It seems like no matter where he's playing lately, every time I look, he's leading the field in birdies. So no matter what, we can expect to see a little flair from the dramatic from Sergio Garcia. Let's take a look at his tee time. It's a pretty good one, don't you think? Jason Day, Patrick Reed. It'll be fun to watch Patrick Reed trying to get back into the winner's circle. It's been a little bit of an absence for him. They go off at 1:50 Eastern Time off number one. It's time for the Golf Central Business Report presented by Hewlett Packard Enterprise. Matt Adams. It's been a pretty big day for Jordan Spieth. Tell us about it.
It was a big day for Jordan Spieth. He will be the next golfer to grace the Wheaties box. It was announced just a little while ago. He'll be joining the likes of Babe Zaharias and Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, Patty Berg, Ben Hogan, Sam Snead, and Lee Trevino. And appropriately, this last name, Byron Nelson. Wheaties was actually Byron Nelson's first ever endorsement. And at the Byron Nelson today, Jordan Spieth addressed the media.
Found a new partner in Wheaties, and I'm going to be on cover of 4 million Wheaties boxes later this year, which is really cool. Breakfast of Champions, it's, you know, you grow up seeing your favorite athletes on these boxes, and used to walk down the aisle of the grocery store whenever my mom used to drag me along, and I'd always want to see who was on the cover, and to actually be on one is a pretty special dream come true.
Later this year will be October for Jordan Spieth when those 4 million boxes will be available nationwide. They said that Jordan was the perfect athlete to put on the box because of his foundation and his commitments and his humility. So Jordan Spieth will be the next on the Wheaties box, Lisa.
That's pretty exciting. Congratulations to him. In 2010, in the AT&T Byron Nelson, then 16-year-old Jordan Spieth became the 6th youngest player to make a cut in a PGA Tour event, finishing in a tie for 16th, which is still surprisingly his best showing in 6 starts. For more on the now 23-year-old two-time major winner, let's go back to George Sabarikas live in Irving, Texas. George, is there any sense of frustration with Spieth coming off his 3rd consecutive missed cut in the Players?
Yeah, Lisa, surprisingly, not at all. Jordan Spieth was brimming with confidence in his press conference, and if you're an armchair psychologist, that's exactly what you'd want to hear out of a two-time major champion, especially considering the fact that he did have the weekend off at TPC Sawgrass. So with that miscut in his rearview mirror, you wonder what has to happen this week at the AT&T Byron Nelson for Spieth to feel that his game is trending in the right direction.
My game was in great condition last week, and I hit the ball phenomenal, and I was putting and chipping great leading in, and I just, you know, my one bad day of the week was Thursday striking the ball, and I recognized what it was. I just couldn't fix it in time for the round, and then I fixed that on Friday, but then I just didn't get any of the putts to go. So it's just like a, you know, I'm losing coin flips here, you know, it's just a, and so not much. I feel great about the state of my game right now, I really do. I don't try and do too much. I don't. Then I'll be in good shape going forward. And I'm striking the ball as well as I've struck it this entire year, which is as good as I've struck the ball on tour. That's how I feel. My wedge play and putting are just, you know, yet to kick into gear, and it just takes a bit of momentum on course. You know, I can do all the practice I want. It's just seeing some go in on course, whether it's one round or through a streak of 2 tournaments. Just to feel like it's all the way back to top notch. I grew up with my dad and I coming out and watching our favorite players. I did that a little at Colonial. This one is definitely more home for me, being, in Dallas versus Fort Worth. But winning both is something that is a lifelong goal for me, and I have this one yet to accomplish.
Yeah, Sir Jordan won the Dina DeLuca Invitational a year ago. If he can win the AT&T Byron Nelson in its final year at TPC Las Colinas, he would pull off the Texas double. 15 previous guys have accomplished that feat in their career, including the likes of Ben Hogan, Ben Crenshaw, Jack Nicklaus, most recently Adam Scott. So for Jordan, a proud Texan, Lisa, you know what it would mean to him if he can add his name to that list.
There is no doubt about it. He would certainly be fired up. George, thanks once again. Taking a look at this grouping. They go off number 10 on Thursday at 8:50 a.m. Three of the nicest guys on the PGA Tour: Jordan, Brandt Snedeker, Matt Kuchar, who finished third here last year. Coming up next, you aim, you fire, you get a yardage, but will high-tech distance devices really speed up play on this week's Web.com tour? We take a look also ahead. We take a trip down memory lane to showcase the most dominant season in PGA Tour history, plus the Emmy Award-winning story of a golfer who redefines the word courage. It's all ahead on Golf Central.
Golf Central is brought to you by the Volke Design SM6 wedges, progressive design, precision performance. Grip confidence, grip golf pride.